You have been losing muscle for years. The process began the moment you turned 30, when your biology started dismantling your type 2 fibers, the fast-twitch muscle tissue responsible for generating explosive power. This line graph maps out that silent decline. Between the ages of 30 and 60, sedentary individuals lose 3 to 8% of their muscle mass per decade. After age 60, that trajectory sharply steepens, accelerating to an 8 to 15% loss every 10 years. Staying on this chart, we can see what those percentages look like on a human frame. A healthy adult carrying 60 kilograms of muscle at age 30 drops to 56 kilograms by 50 if they remain inactive. That represents 4 full kilograms of functioning tissue gone before a functional deficit is ever noticed. Because those fast-twitch type 2 fibers go first, the decay is deceptive. The motor neurons connected to them die off and do not regenerate. You keep enough stamina to walk around the neighborhood, but you lose the rapid reaction speed and explosive strength required to catch yourself mid-stumble. These side-by-side bar charts illustrate the exact clinical thresholds where that decay turns deadly. The measurement is appendicular lean mass, the amount of muscle specifically in your arms and legs. For men, dropping below 7.0 kilograms per square meter correlates with elevated risk of disability and death. For women, that critical line sits at 5.5. Below those numbers, the ability to stand from a chair or climb stairs without assistance vanishes. When an older adult falls and fractures a hip, we are seeing the mathematical endpoint of 30 years of unaddressed muscle atrophy. This progressive weakness is known as sarcopenia. It is driven by 4 specific, modifiable biological mechanisms. The first mechanism is physical inactivity. Muscle operates on a strict use it or lose it mandate. Heavy mechanical loading sends a signal to trigger protein synthesis, the cellular process of building new tissue. Without that physical challenge, synthesis drops and the muscle simply disappears. This is why walking or doing light yoga fails to save your muscle. While excellent for cardiovascular health, moving your own body weight across a flat surface provides near-zero mechanical stimulus to the muscle fibers. Without moving heavy resistance, the tissue starves. The second mechanism is anabolic resistance. As we age, our muscle tissue becomes deaf to standard nutritional inputs. It requires a much louder signal to trigger that same protein synthesis. Looking at this comparative bar chart, the difference is stark. A young adult can spike muscle protein synthesis for hours by consuming 20 to 30 grams of quality protein. To achieve that same biological response, an older adult must consume 35 to 40 grams per meal. This renders the standard recommended dietary allowance, or RDA, of 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight entirely inadequate for older adults. Consuming only the RDA guarantees progressive muscle loss over time. Following standard societal advice, eating an average diet and relying on light cardio for exercise effectively programs your muscular system for destruction. The third mechanism accelerating this loss is inflammaging, a state of chronic low-grade inflammation driven heavily by visceral belly fat and insulin resistance. Visceral fat secretes inflammatory cytokines. These small signaling proteins create a catabolic environment that promotes protein breakdown and damages your satellite cells, the specific muscle stem cells responsible for repairing tissue after damage. The fourth mechanism is hormonal decline. Starting in middle age, men face a predictable yearly drop in testosterone, while women experience a sharp decline in estrogen following menopause. Both of these hormones act as biological shields. Estrogen directly reduces inflammation and supports satellite cell function. When these levels drop, visceral fat accumulates faster, and the muscle's internal repair cells are left unprotected. Maintaining a lean body composition provides a critical biological defense. It prevents inflammation from dismantling your muscle architecture from the inside out. While the observational data of typical aging looks bleak, intervention studies show that muscle can be maintained or grown well into your 80s. The necessary mechanical stimulus comes from progressive resistance training. To force moto units to recruit muscle fibers, you must lift loads heavy enough that your muscles hit failure between 6 to 12 repetitions. Squats, deadlifts, and heavy presses provide this signal. This heavy loading must be applied consistently, requiring at least 2 to 3 training sessions per week that target all major muscle groups. To overcome anabolic resistance, you need a daily total of 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. This 24-hour timeline divides intake into 3 meals, each containing 30 to 40 grams of protein rich in leucine, the amino acid triggering muscle building. Consuming protein within this 2-hour post-training window maximizes the body's synthesis response to the mechanical stimulus. Pervasive advice suggests seniors should stick to light weights for safety, but clinical data shows the exact opposite. Light weights fail to challenge the muscle enough to stimulate protein synthesis. Safety comes from proper form and appropriate progression. Heavy lifting and high protein intake represent the biological currency required to buy back decades of physical capacity, resilience, and independence.